All right, let's dive into a really fascinating, high-stakes legal drama that played out at the International Court of Justice. This is a story that pits the laws of one country against the absolute sovereignty of another. And it all boils down to this one huge question. Can a court in France actually put the sitting president of the Republic of the Congo on trial? I mean, think about that. It's a question that really pushes the boundaries of international law. So, you might be wondering, how did we even get here? How did this become an international showdown? Well, it didn't start at the World Court in The Hague. It all started with a simple criminal complaint filed in a local court in France. And check out how fast this thing blew up. In December of 2001, some human rights groups file their complaint. The very next month, boom, a French prosecutor opens a full-blown investigation. By May, they're questioning a top Congolese general, Norbert Dabira, and just a few months after that, in September, a warrant is issued for him. What started as a local complaint had, just like that, turned into a serious international incident. And get this, they weren't just going after one general. The complaint named names right at the very top of the Congolese government. We're talking about the sitting president, Denis Sassou Nguesso, his Minister of the Interior, and other senior military officials. The French weren't messing around. They were aiming for the highest office in the land. So, as you can imagine, the Republic of the Congo was not just going to sit back and take this. They decided to fight back, and they went big. They didn't argue in the French courts. They took France to the highest court on the entire planet, the International Court of Justice, also known as the World Court. Congo came out swinging with two main arguments, and they're both pretty powerful. First, they said France was violating their sovereignty. That France had no right to just extend its legal power into another country's business. And second, and this is the big one, they argued that international law gives a sitting head of state total immunity. You just can't put them on trial in another country, period. Okay, so you're probably thinking, wait a minute, what gives France the right to even think about doing this? And that's where this really tricky but important legal idea comes in: universal jurisdiction. The basic idea is that some crimes, we're talking about the absolute worst stuff, like torture and crimes against humanity, are so evil they're an offense against all people everywhere. And because of that, any country has the right to step in and prosecute. It doesn't matter where the crime happened or who is involved. This was France's whole legal justification. Now, anyone who follows international law knows the World Court, well, it doesn't exactly move at lightning speed. So before it could even get to the big questions of immunity and sovereignty, it had to deal with something more immediate. The Congo filed for an emergency order, arguing that this French investigation was causing serious, irreversible damage right now. So what did Congo want right now? They asked for something called a provisional measure, which is basically the court's emergency brake. They wanted the judges to order the immediate suspension of everything happening in France, while they sorted out the main case. And to see just how urgent they felt this was, you just have to look at their own words. They argued this wasn't just some legal headache. They said it was actively perturbing international relations, attacking the honor and reputation of their president, and literally damaging their friendship with France. To them, this was the kind of harm you couldn't just fix later on. So the big moment arrives. Everyone's watching. Does the court hit the brakes on the French investigation? The answer was a clear, and for the Congo, a very disappointing no. And I mean, it wasn't even close. The vote came back 14-1 against Congo's request. That is a landslide in judicial terms. It was a massive rejection of their claim that there was an urgent, irreparable harm happening. So how did the court get to that 14-1 decision? They were super methodical about it. They looked at each person one by one. For President Sassou Nguesso, they pointed out that the French request for evidence hadn't even been officially sent to him yet, so no immediate risk there. For Minister Oba, nothing had happened at all, no legal steps taken. And for General Dabira, yeah, he was questioned and there was a warrant out, but the court said that didn't rise to the level of irreparable prejudice to the rights of the Congolese state. But, in law, sometimes that one in a 14-1 vote is the most interesting part of the story. A single dissenting opinion can be incredibly important. And in this case, the one judge who sided with Congo laid out a really powerful counterargument. And this lone dissenter, Judge Dabira, he did not mince words. He basically said his 14 colleagues had completely missed the point. He argued that by focusing on all the technical details, the essential element of the case has been disregarded. His whole point was this: look, You guys are getting bogged down in legal technicalities. The real damage was done the second that French prosecutor opened a case naming a foreign head of state. That act itself, he argued, was an insult to a sovereign nation. It was a violation of the president's immunity. The very threat of legal action against a leader, especially in Africa, he noted, where the head of state often embodies the nation, that is the irreparable harm. It's a political act that you can't just undo later with a legal ruling. So, in the end, the court's order stood. The French investigation could continue. But the case, and that really powerful dissent from Judge Dabira, left this massive, unresolved question just hanging in the air at the very heart of international law. And that's really what this all comes down to, isn't it? It's this fundamental clash between two really important principles. On one side, you have the push for global justice, this idea that nobody should be above the law when it comes to the world's worst crimes. But on the other side, you have the bedrock principle of national sovereignty, the idea that a nation's leaders are immune from being hauled into a foreign court. So where do you draw that line? This case didn't give us the answer, and it's still one of the toughest questions out there today.